distinguished panelists sitting on the dais, the chairman of the panel, Mr. Chaturvedi, Professor Bose, Professor Sanjay, Dr. Datta, and my dear distinguished delegates from academia, from industry, from government, and press and media. Good morning to all of you. I am representing Telangana University, which is located at Dichpelli in the district of Nizamabad. As you are well aware that Government of Andhra Pradesh in the year 2006-07, under the Chief Ministership of Y.S. Rajashekar Reddy, has established 14 new universities, implementing immediately the recommendations of the National Knowledge Commission for 1,500 universities in the country. So, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, having 32 districts, now the state universities are from 21 to 36 universities we have. So almost every district there is one university, excepting few districts, some because of the concentration of the urban, that is Hyderabad, having 3-4 universities. You know, some districts, still 2-3 districts are left out. I would like to mention here that this is a kind of distinctiveness in India compared to rest of the states, because we have maximum number of state universities compared to other states in the country. Of course, in Telangana University, which is a new university, we have 570 acres, 21 courses we have established. We have a different socio-economic background-based students, almost 95% coming from the rural background, with economically poor students and having agriculture background, and they need special needs, particularly English language communication is a big problem for them. One of the very important distinction that again Andhra Pradesh has compared to many other states in the country is that almost 6,000 to 6,500 crores annually is being spent on scholarships being given to the students at higher education level. Students get almost, in our university, 95% students get scholarships, that is tuition fee, examination fee, hostel mess charges from the government as such. So there are some eligibility conditions based on that. So this is particularly in order to promote access, inclusiveness, the efforts have been taken. Now, before I go to my slides, I would like to just mention one important point. Say, in the year 1950s, after immediately the independence, when there were 20 universities, there were only 25 universities in 1950. Now we have 634 universities. The increase is almost 20-fold. If you take the colleges, 1950, there were 695 colleges as recorded in the AIU reports. And then in 2012 now, we have almost 36,400 colleges, that is 46-fold. When we look at the increase by statistics, it is very much increased. But when we look at the GER, gross enrollment ratio, it is hardly less than 18% on an average basis. This itself is an indication that there is inadequate institution development in our country. And when I compared with that of our country, GER, with that of many other countries, for example, China, ours is 18, China is 26, South Africa is 15%, USA is 83%, Sweden is 71%, UK is 57%, Russia is 77%, Canada is 62%. Take the small country, Argentina, it is 34%. Take Brazil, it is 34%. Where are we? We are far behind the institutional development in the country as such. Particularly, central universities take only the GER to the extent of 5 to 6%, whereas the state universities, which are very effective units in providing inclusive growth in education for planned and coordinated development in higher education, they cater to almost 15 to 16, 14 to 15% of GER, but they are facing many problems of planned grant, non-planned grant, faculty positions, funding, and many other problems as such. I do not want to go into the details of this. This is what is very essential, and we are having number of shortcomings and wide disparities in spite of the development from 1950 to 2012, 2013. Now I go to, I don't want to spend more time because the time limitation is 8 to 10 minutes. So inclusive education policy has focused on increasing access to higher education in 12th five-year plan. Particularly focus is given on reflecting in the disparities not only between poor and middle class, but also caste, ethnic, non-ethnic, religious, and gender lines. Economic factors and other factors are also important thing to look into the access to the higher education. Towards cohesiveness or cohesion in the inclusive growth, Article 46 in the Constitution has clearly given has mentioned about enhancing the level of knowledge and the capacity, raising the level of awareness of weakened sections, highlighting the weaker section problems and difficulties through the education, because it is the higher education which is the base for economic development, social development, human resource development, wealth and knowledge society, transformation of the society that is possible only through the inclusive growth. So the weaker sections, the policies are laid down, the plans and programs are laid down under the Article 46. Now, towards remembering the roots, I have already discussed, I don't want to go into this. There are a number of pressures which are there for the higher education development: pressure of population explosion, pressure of demographic bulk, particularly youth population is almost 55 to 60 crores, demanding more facilities in higher education system as such. Pressure of process of development, 1992 onwards because of globalization, liberalization and privatization. And then, HRD. On the one hand, the targets of economic development is 7% or higher than that, whereas human development index is declining to the extent of between 3 to 4%. Where are we lacking? What is the accessibility? What is the inclusiveness? Why is it that human development index is reduced? So like that, pressure on the knowledge age, particularly in 21st century, and then pressure of the governance, pressure of the geopolitics, pressure of the globalization. These are the things which are very important. Going to the gender equality, according to the articles which are given here, 14, 15, 45, gender equality is very, very essential, and we are lagging in this regard with regard to success, with regard to barriers in related class, caste, faith, gender, and we have seen in Delhi, in urban areas and other rural places, what has happened in the past recently with regard to the women. This is what is a great injustice being done to the gender. Access, equity and inclusion, and then expansion, quality are the very buzzwords for the educational institutions and UGC and Ministry of HRD as such. So access into the context of higher education would mean to go for to the available eligible people as such. Equity, particularly is for the fairness purpose, and then inclusion is to bringing all segments of the society, SCs, STs, ethnic groups, and then physically challenged people, those who have been deprived it before. The role of the affiliating universities is very, very important, because the affiliating colleges, which are in rural places, they have more GER compared to that of the state campuses and that of the central universities and institutions. Constraints in affiliation system has to be removed in order to improve the inclusive growth. This is what is very important. 80% of the affiliated colleges are in the rural backward areas and hilly areas. Inclusive education is promoted through the affiliation system. Government affiliated colleges hardly 10 to 15%. 5% are private and aided are getting declined, as you know. Most of the colleges, you know, the private colleges, they don't reinvest fund for the purpose of developing the institutional infrastructure, but they have a profit motive in that mechanism, in that process as such. The college affiliated system does not have a proper academic audit as such to monitor, to improve the quality as such, in order to improve the standards and the communication of the students. These are the important things. Then there are recommendations of the UGC expert committee. Chairman Tyagarajan has given. You know, it is very important to follow these recommendations of the committee. Rural higher education, as you know, perspective is very, very different, and still 1/3 of the people living in the urban areas have double in their income, but you know, rural people, their income is not improved at all. So it is necessary to improve access to education is very important in rural areas. Coming to the educationally backward districts, you know, you have seen here, this is all India figure of 2012. There are, you know, number of colleges, there are 14, you know, districts which does not have, you know, 14 districts does not have colleges even. You know, EBD with only one college, 32 districts are there in the country. EBD with less than 15 colleges, that is 81. And then EBD that is with more than 100 colleges, only 2. This is what is the scenario. Are we going towards the inclusive growth? It seems that we are still at the crossroads, in spite of having number of committees, commissions, recently Yashpal committee, and then Knowledge Commission, and then so many commissions from 1858 onwards till this time. Now, rural-urban pattern, if you look at the GER and NER, you will find different scenario. It is very, you know, discouraging as such. We need to concentrate on rural, particularly women as such, to improve the inclusiveness. Number of institutions already have discussed about it. Responses to the demand and pressure. You know, number of universities, as I mentioned, there is need of more and more state universities. Of course, the other, you know, affiliated colleges too. Size of Indian education need to be checked upon. Now, schemes of nurturing social equity category-wise is given for SCs, Rajiv Gandhi National Fellowship is given, STs, Rajiv Gandhi National Fellowship for given, minority, Maulana Azad is given, OBC capacity expansion for women and others is given, PWD, you know, higher education for persons with disability is given. So many schemes are given by the UGC, and now there is a lot of focus from 11th plan, and now with the objective of 12th plan also is to focus on inclusive growth. Now going to the different slides which are with diagrams, postdoctoral fellowships for SC/ST. Sir, I will take 1 minute more, sir. Yeah, postdoctoral fellowship for SC/ST from 11th plan, you know, the expenditure is of 25 crore 56 lakhs, and number of fellowships granted till recently, till 2012 is 491. Postgraduate scholarships which are sanctioned are, you know, almost to 4,000 candidates with the expenditure of 28 crores. And equal opportunity cell, almost all the central universities, I can say 100% central universities, and nearly 40% of state universities have already established equal opportunity cells, and they are concentrating on development of the SC/ST minorities, OBCs as such. The data is given there. Coaching schemes have been promoted for SC/STs, spending 50 crores by the UGC. And coaching classes for SC/ST minority are given. You know, the number of candidates who are benefit is also given here. Education plan is for expansion in enrollment from 14% to 30%. In the 12th plan, the proposal is to go up to 30%. But to what extent we will succeed, you know, we don't know. But I can say that Professor Sukhdev Thorat, when he was the chairman UGC, I appreciate his efforts to bring in inclusive growth into the arena of the UGC program and improved, and the same is continuing now. I don't want to go into other details. A few more things I want to show. Support extended to the colleges with relatively higher proportion of SC/ST. Almost 89 crores is spent, and number of colleges benefited are 3,600, and regional offices of UGC are providing all support to them. Capacity expansion, particularly for women, has been very much improved. Particularly 51,000 students are benefited. 133 crores is spent on that, and 47 colleges of universities have taken the benefit. Support of persons with disabilities, almost 231 universities out of 634 universities have different programs, teacher preparation programs, and HEPSIN programs, visually handicapped programs, and 25 crores is spent on that. Study of social exclusion and inclusion centers have been established in order to bring the persons who are excluded socially into the inclusion as such. Empowerment of women has been given a great focus, and for that purpose, a lot of expenditure is made by the government, particularly Government of India, UGC, for empowerment. And then promotion of higher education in educationally backward districts. 73 model degree colleges and 10 states have taken 52 crores have been spent on that. 7 minority concentrated districts are also being covered. So this is the intensive effort being made by the UGC and Ministry of HRD. And also community colleges are coming up in very fast, and some community colleges already established in South universities. Regulatory reforms to foster the social equality. UGC has a regulation of 2012 for promotion of equity in higher education, and UGC has given guidelines and instructions for constituting grievance redressal cell in each university as per the regulations 2012. And this is the regulatory framework of the recent past 2 to 3 years. Social and regional equity of present and future is also given by me here. I don't want I will take just last few minutes, sir. The last slide I would like to talk about. I would like to talk about is, if you take the regions in the country, south, west, east, you will definitely find there is a lot of disparity in the inter-regional and the regional colleges and universities and inclusive growth as such. If I don't want to go in AP, but one step taken by the UGC is very appreciable, that is called RUSA, that is Rashtriya Uchar Shiksha Abhiyan, in order to provide funding facility to the state universities. Recently, Ministry of HRD has set up this cell for funding from the Government of India. This is a very good thing. There are a lot of fee structural differences and disparities for the inclusive purposes. There is difference in even the 12B group of institutions and non-12B groups of institutions also. So lastly, the Ministry of HRD has set a target of 30% GRE by the year 2020, and we require, it says that, additional 800 universities, 35,000 new colleges within a short span of 10 to 12 years. This would translate to an enrollment of 40 million, which is an incremental increase of 21 million from the current enrollment. Further, the number of institutions required would entail an investment of about 1 lakh crore by taking into account the prescribed infrastructure for educational institutions. I thank the chairman especially and the audience for giving me an opportunity by extending little time. Thank you very much.